this project I'll use hard maple. It's already round. I purchased it that way. It was originally intended to be a baseball billet. It was green and shrunk just a little bit when it was drying. I decided to go ahead and mark it out. In this state, I'm using the golden mean for a design rule on the Snowman, which in this case means that the middle snowball will be about 2/3 of the size of the bottom snowball, and the top snowball will be about 2/3 of the size of the middle snowball. See how that works out. But the first order of business is to turn a tenon so that I can grip it solidly and flip it over and then start working on the very bottom snowball. I probably left a little bit too much wood here on the bottom, as I'm having to just waste it away. Later on I felt that I was a little bit too close to the chuck on the top snowball, so what I should have done is to taken that inch of wood and left it on the top or the head of the Snowman. Then this is good beadwork for a lathe. At this point I'm using my bowl gouge, good versatile tool. Then I repart it a little bit when I need to, just to keep the markings there. Later I'll switch to a spindle gouge, and also I'll switch to a skew for a short period of time just to see if I can get a little bit more skew practice. Work each snowball just a little bit more, then get the middle one more to size, and then I'll work the top one and get it more to size. And work it down until it works for my eye, how I want to see this Snowman work. I have no firm dimensions in my mind other than what I laid out on the blank when I started. Last weekend I saw a vortex tool in use. I think I'll make myself one, as it would enable these little cracks between the snowballs to be a little bit tighter. It seems like a very appropriate tool. But let's make do with the tools I have right now. So let's waste away and get that head formed. This is now my spindle gouge. As I said, at this point I wished I had a little bit more room at the head. Then I bored out the center. The first bore was up into the middle snowball at a diameter that's appropriate to go through into the middle. Then I bored it again with a bigger bit for the bottom snowball, and then just a little bit more to make a ledge that I could glue a plug into. Then while the Snowman was parted off, after the Snowman was parted off, time to make this man a hat. No self-respecting snowman should be out in the winter weather without a hat. It's cold out there, but he needs to stay even colder so that he doesn't melt. But got to make sure it fits. So let's do a few more checking, and then once the bottom of the hat is smooth, I wanted to keep some tension on from the tailstock, so I went with and used a Forstner bit to bore a hole in a rubber stopper, and then just slipped it onto the end. Should have made the hole just a tad bigger. Rectify that in the future, but it's a nice way to keep just a little bit of pressure on the tailstock without making a mark. Then part off the hat, and I'll finish it up after it's glued on to the Snowman. At this point, turned it around using a bit of a tenon on a jam chuck. Wish it would have been longer, because this did not want to stay on, and so I would have preferred to clean up my cuts just a little bit more with tools, but in the end I wound up sanding because it wouldn't take any tool pressure. Then Snowman needs a belt to hold up his pants. Now let's burn a belt. First a little groove so that the wire has some place to track. I considered tooling something for a nose, like a carrot nose. In the end, I decided Snowman that I made when I was a kid, I used rocks or coal, and so just a little bit of a marker would do a good job of that. I was afraid, however, that it would bleed, so right over that I put the mineral oil and wax mixture that I've been using for sanding and finishing. It did not bleed, so I was pleased with that. Then finished sanding with 400 grit and 600 grit. I'd already, before I glued the hat on, sanded the base and the hat up to 220 grit paper. So he's nice and smooth and beautiful. But let's trim him up for the season just a little bit more. Put a little colored band on his hat. Festive colors. Then, since it's cold out there, he really needs something on his neck. So let's give him a little bit extra on his neck. And he's fully dressed. Lacking arms, but he's a good-looking snowman. Later on, I'll put an eye in the head so that he can hang on the tree. Please click the like button on this video. If there's other ornaments you'd like to see made, let me know. I may give them a try. I'll be doing several more ornaments now between now and Christmas. Let's celebrate.